I had a stroke in September the 17th of 2008, and it was a massive stroke and a ischemic stroke. And that month prior to the stroke, I had a freak heart attack, and then I had a flare with a colitis part of the body. September 17th, 2008. And it was a massive stroke, and it was a ischemic stroke. And it made me unable to speak. And that month prior to the stroke, I was in the hospital with a freak heart attack, and then a colitic.
Ulcerative colitis.
Yes, and then I had the stroke. It messed up the ability to speak and to write and several other things. Just a daily life of you would take for granted, and I wasn't able to do very many things. There wasn't that many things I could do at that time.
What did you do before that? What were some of the
Yeah.
Can you say all that?
I don't know. Okay, I was rights and permission person for what's my job, and I just really started that job 3 months prior to the stroke, and I was just learning the ins and outs of it, and I was be on the phone conversations and different things like that. And
Lots of phone and writing.
oh yeah, that's right. And then I was very active with my horses and stuff at church, like singing and Pink Impact kind of things. I wasn't able to really speak and write, and then that I had to relearn how to speak and like the ABCs and that type of thing. And I had to relearn how to get ready in the day, my hair to makeup, even littlest things like brushing your teeth. I didn't know until Steve would show me how to do things.
She kind of recognized it because you show her the toothbrush. Oh, well then she'd want to put the toothpaste on the wrong side of the toothbrush, that
Yeah,
is.
I'm like,
From my point of view, it was a little scary that it's like,
yeah.
wow, where are we and how far do we have to go to overcome this?
Hmm. And then I also had a business with my makeup business, and I didn't really know how to do everything. The first time I put makeup on, my husband was quite laughing because I had a lot of black around my eyes, and I looked like interesting person, I guess we'll say. So I had to learn so many things, and then people would treat me a little bit different, like family and friends. Not everyone, but some people just doesn't how to, do life with these things that happen, and they don't know how to talk with me because they didn't know if I was smart or if something was wrong with that. Maybe I might be a little bit dumb, but people that have had a stroke, they have it inside, and they was kind of saying about people didn't know how to talk with me because they thought that I was kind of dumb, and I had to kind of show in different way you could communicate. I did a lot of pointing and people would try to get the word out, and they would guess, and I'd have to say no, shake my head no, and give me a minute, because it takes a long time to really think about how you want to say it or try to say it. And so some of the people in my life, they just didn't know how to communicate with me, and they didn't always think they didn't try to be mean, but they just didn't know how to do things, and I couldn't tell them, and that was how it was. So
That was the big frustration point, is everything is in there. It's just a channel between here and here, you know, getting it in and getting it back out, and that's what people couldn't understand, and the doctors found that out up front real quick, that, and they even told her, says, that's where you're frustrated, right? Because you know exactly what you lost. And she's like,
yes.
and that was, yeah.
And so it was sometimes, at that time, it was kind of nice sometimes when I couldn't get the words out there, because I didn't want to tell anyone what I thought, because you don't have a filter sometimes when when these things happen with the stroke. You don't have that right now, and you might say something that you probably shouldn't say. So I had to, so it actually was God protected me, because I didn't have to say, anything that was not good to say. So.
And that was another frustrating point of frustration for her, was she was heavily involved in management, heavily involved as an administrator, and would very diplomatically talk to people when she needed to. If
Yes.
she needed to deal with employees, if she needed to deal with people that were trying to take her down, she could very diplomatically do that. And at this point, no,
Yeah.
because the words wouldn't come right, and it would just frustrate her and shut her down.
Yeah. So I'm praying for 100%, because God kind of just told me that I would get back to 100%. So I just heard that God said to me that I would get back to 100%. So I'm believing that I will, and I have that faith that He will promise what He said. Faith and hope. Okay. So I just really kind of, at that time, I just really wanted to be back to myself, and I would cry myself to sleep probably about 10 months or so, maybe not every night, maybe, but I remember doing that. And then finally, I could feel and see that God is healing me, and I just would keep trusting Him, and I don't really know why that had happened. And in my mind, I just kept thinking that in my mind, I just thought that why did it happen, and I don't, why God was going to use this to touch other people and to teach them that they just got to keep going and just trust on the Lord. So,
Because really, it is a different path of life that we're on now, because prior to this, we didn't know, really weren't involved with anybody that had strokes or
yeah.
this type of life path that they're on, and for the encourager that she has become because of it. She helps out at Calvin College, the stroke clinic. She still goes back to Mary Free Bread once a month now to help encourage people there that are just in the middle of the storm right now.
Yeah.
And we've even heard of several friends that have had strokes recently, but and it just brings a different tug to your heart and how you pray for them, and you know what they're going through.
Yeah.
And I know on the flip side what their spouses are going through, the caregivers, and
How
it's
did that
just,
affect you when you first
at first, all of my energy tunneled right for helping
Mhm.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
I didn't think about me much at
I
all.
know.
I had to channel it towards her recovery, helping
Mhm.
her. I mean, the very first I got right in her face and said, "God's got this. Those that fight for it get it back." And all she could say at the time was, "Okay." So she was putting her trust in that she was going to get it back.
Mhm.
And then just keeping the positive attitude, and I was pretty much a shield for her. I didn't let people with negativity come at her, and I would shut them down and pull them away. And so
Yeah.
it wasn't until probably a year
Year and a half.
or so after that I guess I felt comfortable enough to trust her with my feelings again, and then
Mhm.
everything just shattered down, and I just came out, and
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what's happened here, but it's your turn to shoulder me for a minute while I unload on you. And because it was quite a stressful time, because
Mhm.
in our marriage we are a partnership, and
Mhm.
we do things 50-50, and for
Yeah.
me it was very, very difficult to step out in front and be 100%, because I had to make medical decisions for her,
Mhm.
and everything on the household was on me, and Rebecca knows me, 'cause she's the administrator, not me.
Yes. Yes, I was the one that liked to talk, and and he was more just quiet, and
I'm the processor.
and he
I
and
reel
then
you in.
he needed to be the talker because I couldn't, and that was more of a stretch for him because he's not a talker. He's really quiet for the most part until you get to know him, and then he can be a little bit funny, and that. But I just kind of learned a lot of laughter. We did have a laughter especially when I'm trying to say something and the words would just from some weird word or totally different with what I wanted to say, and do a 50-50 question, and I'll guess wrong most every time. And so of course that makes laughter because he's like, nope, flip that. And so I had to just and just know that God was with me, and just that through everything we had laughter. So and
And one thing very close to her heart is, when she's encouraging other people in the situation, is don't let others limit you.
yes.
They have
Isn't it?
studies that show what your recovery is, and Rebecca says, no, don't let them limit you. Only you
Yeah.
can limit you.
Yes, because I would say that they don't know who my God is,
Mhm.
and they don't know who I am. So I would keep trying, even on those times when I didn't really want to, and I say I can't do it. And that's very rarely when I would say it. But he would get into right on me and say, "We don't say that." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, we don't say that." So we together we just kind of encourage each other, on that. And I like to do that with other people that have been in that same place that we both have been together. And I just the hope and the belief for the future. I just really can see me keep reaching other people, encouraging them. I would love to be a motivational speaker, so God has to show me how to do all that. But because I like to talk with people about how much that God has for them, even through something like this, because so I would just encourage people because they are still here, and for some reason the question is of why may never be answered, but you have to have the faith and the hope that God can go through it and help you. there's some scriptures that I would stand on through the whole time and before and still after. I would say Philippians 4:13, because God can give me all the strength that He gives me, and Jeremiah 29:11 is really important to in my life. And then there's from a book from a pastor's, a known one. He would says that I get better every day in every way, and couldn't say it, but I would write it on I copied it from the book, and I would read it every day, more than one time, and then when I was able to say each word, and then now I can say it. So it's pretty exciting to see God move in the healing.
Yeah, my name wasn't the first name she could learn to say.
No.
That would be her horse.
Yeah. No.
Nope.
I couldn't say that either. I had to learn how to say his name too. Just that it was a daily practicing. I had to practice quite a few hours a day to be able to speak what I wanted to say and to learn how to say the sounds of letters. And Steve went back to work, and I would be in the office doing the computer work so I could learn the ABCs. And then
Yeah, after a long day of work.
he would come.
9-10 hour days,
I
I
go,
come home and
"Hey,
there she is
come
at the
here."
door. Come on.
I know.
You had to go work on what she needed to work on. And
I didn't think I couldn't really write that much, but I think I must have circled things and had him to show me how to say different things and how to, just even
I still have
writing.
the very first email that
Oh,
she was
yes.
able to. I don't know how long it took her to punch out, but I think the subject was love.
Yeah.
And inside all it said was love, period, baby, period.
Yes, I think
and then
so.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Because her pet name for me was Baby. That's what she could say before
Because
she
I
could
couldn't
say Steve.
I couldn't say his name. That took about 11 weeks to say that. So, yeah. And that was.
So you've come a long way.
I know.
From the
Right.
moment the stroke hit, I didn't know where it was going to lead to because she completely lost her right side at first.
Yeah.
And God healed that almost
Praise
immediately
God.
because by the time I had gotten to the hospital,
Yeah.
it was working pretty good again.
In my leg too.
Mhm.
I could have lost my leg because it was really cold and I didn't know. Steve was the one that said, "Hey, why is her leg so cold and like bluish?" And the other one was warm. And they went me to the surgery because I know that
Had a blood clot.
I think I could have lost my leg. So I'm very thankful that God protected me for that, and that Steve was right on to what was going on. So, because then that would be harder for me to ride my horse, So, I still
Priorities.
do it, Yes. Was on my horse.
Wow.
Yeah.
And somehow that horse knew too because he was very gentle.
He was really much.
Yeah, just tiptoe gently, and he's
Yeah.
wasn't that
He
kind of a
wasn't
horse.
that. He was more.
He would
yeah.
usually test you.
Yeah, he would, but he liked to go fast, and I like to go fast, but we went real slow. So it was pretty cool to see how it all worked out together. Okay.
Good. Very good. I think that's great. Lots of information.